Our scripture today is from Luke chapter 9, verses 28 to 36. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James and went up on a mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly, they saw two men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which was about to be accomplished at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep. But since they stayed awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. Just as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. And they kept silent, and in those days told no one any of the things they had seen. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Efficiency, expediency, convenience, structure, order, clarity. You know these words, these goals. These words define our life day to day in many ways, whether it's in the federal government slashing and cutting certain budgets of the different bureaucracies, or critiquing the certain goals and agendas of those agencies. It comes from a belief, a prejudice that there must be some way that we can accomplish this more efficiently, more effectively. But it's also right in front of us in our daily lives, something as simple as getting on the school bus in the morning. You're told what time the bus driver will arrive at your kid's stop to take them to school in the morning, but if you want to be more efficient, you can download the app, and you can watch the bus on a map in real time as it makes its way through the neighborhood, aligning perfectly your departure from the home, warm and brightly lit, out into the cold and dark neighborhood to meet the bus with minimal waiting time. There's efficiencies in online ordering and home delivery. The use of AI to help create something more quickly and with more deep knowledge. Even situations like international policy, what to do about the Gaza Strip or the war with Ukraine and Russia. There's got to be some way to solve these things quickly and with expediency. And so our lives can begin to feel so controlled, so ordered, so structured, so predictable that we begin to seek some kind of escape. We want some kind of experience of mystery and majesty. And so, ironically, we use the tools of the efficiency economy to book plane tickets and play tickets and Airbnbs, to find that place, to get to that vista. We arrive at the beach. You unload your car, you take everything up to the 8th floor condo oceanfront that you've rented, and you go out on the balcony to look out over the vast horizon of the ocean where the sky meets the sea and smell that salt air, but you know you can only do it looking exactly forward. Because if you turn your head to the right or the left, you'll see your neighbor who's also sought this same escape standing on their balcony, also staring out over the expanse of the sea. The next day you head down to the beach, you put your umbrella on the 9th row of umbrellas, and you look through the mass of human flesh for a glimpse of the waves, listening intently for their crash against the shore, or what you can hear of it over the Bluetooth speakers, combating between whether today will be dominated by country music or classic rock by your neighboring beachgoers. Or we decide we'll take the trail, we'll go to the woods, will find that most scenic spot, but then you can't even find a parking place at the trailhead. You have to take a trolley just to get to the start of the trail. And then you're following one behind the other up the mountain, these hikers with their camelback backpacks and their Nutri-Grain bars, stopping every 15 minutes for a selfie or for a picture of a wildflower or, look, a squirrel. We seek this escape from our commercialized life. And there are, in fact, glorious places to discover and explore, but how often this is what we find.
Wow. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, with your home, auto, boat, and RV all bundled with Progressive, you've got the peace of mind to really wander.
Yeah, I just hope it stays this way. Once word gets out about these places, they tend to...
Are you done?
And there it is.
But at least your vehicles are protected. Let's hit the road.
Hey, fam. I am just at this beautiful lake that I just discovered, practicing gratitude, manifesting abundance.
Maybe this commodification, this efficiency economy, this attention world that we inhabit, maybe it's just a product of our modern life, but it might be part of our greater human existence. When Peter wakes up on the mountain of transfiguration, he sees something before him that is truly glorious. His Lord, his teacher and master, is transfigured before him. And there with him are the two heroes of their nation, Moses and Elijah, speaking with him. This is unheard of. This is impossible. This is astounding. But does Peter sit there slack-jawed, lost in awe and wonder? Does he cozy up closer to try to overhear the content of the conversation? No. He leaps up and immediately presents a business plan to build the Mountain of Transfiguration theme park. Moses and Elijah and Jesus, each with their individual tents and attractions. This can become a place of holy pilgrimage. Peter himself in the position of P.T. Barnum with his sandwich board over front and back and his bowler hat on, selling tickets. Step right up, come see Moses with the original 10 Commandments. Get your tickets to the 7 o'clock showing of Elijah's battle against the prophets of Baal. Come and meet Jesus, the Messiah himself. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. The carousel of progress. For Peter, it goes like this. Moses, rotate. Elijah, rotate. Jesus, just a dream away. And for Peter, that's true. The slumbering disciple, the transfiguration is just a dream away. But you heard what happens. There's the cloud, the voice, the command. This is my son, the chosen. Listen to him. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. The children's worship song is quite a contrast to a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. The present versus the future. Stillness versus action. Silence instead of speech. Attention replacing distraction. The journalist Chris Hayes has written a new book about the attention economy. He makes the case that in our modern life, the greatest asset available is our attention. Big tech mining our data to send us targeted advertisements and opportunities. the sum of all human information in our pocket pinging with weather updates and news headlines and the latest dance videos and reviews of films and albums. Our AirPods in our ears with the latest hits or podcasts or an audio book while we take out the trash and do the dishes and walk the dog. Attention is how you win an election, how you increase your revenue, how you grow your audience. Inactivity, boredom is the enemy. We have so many modern conveniences now. A washing machine, a dishwasher, refrigerator. You have your car to take you where you want to go. What are you going to do then to make use of all the time that is freed up? You don't want to waste it. Hay says that in non-Western tribal societies, many indigenous languages lack a word that is the equivalent of the English word for boredom. One anthropologist said, who works with the Warlpiri people of Australia, that when the people in that village are trying to communicate the state that we would understand as boredom, they have to switch from speaking in their native language to speaking in English. Because if you don't have a concept of boredom, you can't present it as an enemy to efficiency, productivity, and consumption. You can't seek to eradicate that which does not exist. Hayes remarks, at hazard, we've all had occasion to find ourselves trapped with our thoughts in a way that makes us feel like a captive in a lion's cage. And today we find ourselves surrounded by endless sources of diversion, and yet none of it ever quite enough to truly escape the terror of boredom. As Hayes explores this attention economy, he describes things that he's tried to do to reclaim his own attention, to disentangle himself from this world. He says he now walks without any headphones in. He chops wood. He makes his own handmade pasta. He takes his 6-year-old to the dog park. These aren't transfiguring moments that reimagine our relationship with reality. They aren't once-in-a-lifetime trips or a magnificent production. They're simple, accessible, embodied possibilities. But I'd posit that in our story today, with the cloud and the command, listen to him, the Christian is given an even deeper call to attentiveness than what Hayes outlines. If Peter had taken a moment to eavesdrop on the conversation between Jesus and Moses and Elijah, he would have heard that they were not there to declare his glory, to declare how marvelous he was. They were with Jesus talking about his death. This glorious revelation points away from our traditional understandings of glory and toward what we often avoid at all costs: a costly, self-giving love that could cost us our lives. Fred Craddock reveals the contrast. This is a mountaintop experience, but not the kind about which persons write glowingly of sunrises, soft breezes, warm friends, music, and quiet time. On this mountain, the subject is death, and the frightening presence of God reduces those present to silence. For us, then, the mountain of transfiguration aligns with Chris Hayes' evaluation of our modern life, in that both are calling for a more deeply embodied way of living. It invites us into stillness instead of commodification. It draws us out of efficiency and toward relationship. But instead of idleness or learning to grow comfortable with our boredom, the transfiguration invites us into an embodied life that will walk into moments of sorrow, suffering, even death. And see those moments as the moment when the power of God arrives. Glory not in a mountaintop, but glory in the face of death. We hold a child at the font, a new life teeming with possibility. We talk about this precious baby dying and rising with Christ. We come to this table, we talk about it as the feast of heaven. And then we say that through this meal we proclaim the saving death of our Lord. We construct a magnificent window that depicts the transfigured Lord with Moses and Elijah in vibrant colors. But we hang beneath it an iron cross. We walk into hospital rooms. We stand beside graves. We invest in those who are labeled unworthy, worthless, forgotten. We don't seek expediency or efficiency if it comes at the cost of dignity and hope. And we walk into these places of death not assuming that we have superior knowledge or all of the answers to all of the problems. We walk in with an attention to listen and to trust that somewhere in the midst the risen Christ will arrive to speak something greater than distraction or consumption. He arrives with the word of resurrection. And for us, those moments, those embodied moments, is where our ordinary lives are transfigured into glory.